As a preview, this is going to be the new kind of like Hummingbot homepage. We're going to really make Hummingbot 2.0 the default entry point for the community. Take a look at this quick start guide that David put together, which lists all the main features in Hummingbot 2.0 and what you can do. Fede put together a very detailed walkthrough of all the features. So I'll kind of go through that today as well. But I want to take a quick moment and just go through this presentation that I gave at the Consensus conference in Austin, because I thought that it's a good recap of kind of where Hummingbot started, why we kind of started this project, where it's been and where it is now, and also I think what we kind of want to do with Hummingbot after 2.0 and how we involve the community. So let me kind of go through this. I think I gave this talk at the conference, but it was it was like in a small room, so it wasn't really designed for like more of a proper audience like this. So yeah, I'll just go through the presentation and explain how it all worked. So I think that the core motivation for Hummingbot, it was always about kind of like enabling people to start their own quant funds, because at least for me, and I think a lot of you guys out there, at least as a kid, I was always fascinated by these like hedge funds and how they were just like creating money out of thin air by running these machines and using data. So for me, ever since I was like in college, I kind of wanted to either work around these places, and so so the thought of actually creating my own hedge fund was actually kind of like quite cool and kind of really interesting. But I think I think that as I learned more about the histories of these like hedge funds, I kind of realized that all of them really started from a single person, whether it's like Jim Simons or like Hank Griff from Citadel or even the crypto guys, like I think the Winterbeat guy also, they all started as single traders, right? And of course the drum set is like a necessary component, like for me, it's that, well, actually, to be honest, the piano for me is not real because I can't actually play any musical instrument, including piano. It's really for my daughter, and for me to like basically play very basic tunes. But most of the quant traders out there are pretty serious, or seriously good at some musical instrument, like Fede is with his stuff. Anyway, but overall, I think the commonality is people are usually dedicated to trading in some way. They make money from trading, then they kind of turn that into a larger operation where they're working in some grungy basement, like on lots of algos, and they do really well. After that point, they actually end up building something that's like really legitimate. It turns into like Citadel, which is like a huge quant fund. So I think that story of like how these quant funds get started actually looks very similar if you look at from both the starting point, as single traders. But I think like today, to be perfectly honest, that barrier to entry is higher than ever because these guys have tons of advantages that ordinary traders like us don't have. They have access to tons of data, algos, sophisticated backtesting engines, but also the ability to like really move the market through execution algos, through and also have like teams of data scientists and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's almost like, I feel like it's almost impossible for like individuals or small firms to actually catch up to these guys. But I think this was kind of like the core of the mission we took on when we kind of like had the idea for Hummingbot like more than 5 years ago. Because I think one thing I saw from working in finance is that sometimes being small is also better as well, right? You have certain advantages because you're not constrained by by the need to deploy like $1 billion in capital. Maybe like from a regulatory standpoint, like you have access to like decentralized exchanges, whereas like banks and more regulated entities can't access those kind of venues. And maybe we're just like more degen, right? We can access more markets and take more risks than someone that has to go through lots of compliance hurdles and all that kind of stuff. So in some ways, I think being small and nimble also has its advantages versus being like large and like having lots of like money and everything else like that. So I think like for us, like we saw it as more of like it was a technological hurdle between what an individual could do and what like a large firm could do. And so if you could like have software that just basically it's free, it does the same shit that that you were doing back that the Wall Street guys are doing, then it would actually be something that people could use. It turned out that it actually was saw the need to market. Pretty much as soon as we launched it, we felt that we're serving a need out there. And so the need, it just like, it was just hard to make it easy to use. I think because ultimately market making is a fairly, complex endeavor. But I think it took me a while to understand really like what need we're solving. But now I kind of think of it as like, like basically we solve really need for two types of people. One is like people who want to issue a token, and for them, like instead of hiring a market maker, they can just download software from the internet and run it. It's better. It's like DIY, right? And then, but similarly, even if they hire a market maker, because market maker, there's like a big service component to, like there's an art knowing how to like avoid getting gamed. There's kind of like understanding how to work with the needs of a client. So like even those guys, they need software as well. And so for them, the ability to like, work off of a foundational open source technology, I think just made sense, right? So I think for us, like I think I'm glad we kind of like have grown to kind of like serve the market, because I think there is a core need out there for some type of open source framework like Hummingbot. So I think that's why I think overall this has kind of been the volume that Hummingbot has delivered over the past year. This is basically the reported volume from Hummingbot users, across all the different exchanges that we see. Basically, this is reported on an aggregate, anonymized basis. So in theory, people can turn this off. We actually do suspect that some of the larger institutional users do turn it off. But overall, I think this is a good proxy, I think, for who's out there using it. And to me, I think the most interesting thing is that, we use 200 unique exchanges, but there's only about 50 official connectors in the code base. So I think it kind of means that there's probably going to be more there's probably more forks out there in the wild of people using Hummingbot than what we actually see, like in our official code base. But overall, I think we want to kind of keep on improving the official code base, because we do think that we have a chance to kind of like become the standard in the market. And the standard is hopefully to allow someone to create a trading strategy, as sophisticated or as complex as possible, and then be able to run that strategy across all the different exchanges out there without having to, rewrite it every single time, right? And so by offering that standardization, I think that to us is like what we're trying to achieve. And I'm glad that we're seeing more and more exchanges kind of create connectors that allow their APIs to be standardized, because that's, I think, the core problem we're trying to solve. But kind of like from a technical perspective, we've always kind of tended to focus more on the back end than the front end. So this is kind of what Hummingbot looked like for a long time, 2019 onwards. And it wasn't really until for the last couple of years after Fede joined the team, that we really started to kind of like reimagine with both the user interface, but also kind of the architecture of Hummingbot could be. So I think we started this journey a couple years ago, but now we're proud to unveil 2.0, which is basically an expansion of the framework, so that it's not just kind of like this single command line tool, but more of an application, something where there's a front end, there's a back end, and the system allows you to deploy bots, each of which are still the original Hummingbot instances. So this new framework has a few different components. It'll be easier to kind of like show you than kind of go through all the diagrams. But overall, on a high level, there's kind of like we try to change architecture so that when you create a strategy, you're using kind of like a set of components that you're stitching together like Legos, and to create a more complex strategy, but not having to write tons of code. So basically, there's one module that allows you to pull in data from the market, and then there's a controllers module that is kind of defining the core strategy logic. And then you can kind of create a configuration for it and kind of use these components called executors that automate some functionality in the market. In addition, along with this new strategy framework, we've introduced a dashboard application, so that the idea is instead of using this command line tool, now you can use a graphical user interface to manage your Hummingbot experience. And this basically in Hummingbot, you can now kind of like basically configure strategies and can backtest them and deploy them to bots. So we'll kind of like give a demo of that later on right now. But I want to highlight that this is just kind of the beginning of kind of creating more of a community-based ecosystem around Hummingbot. What we plan to do later on this year is to introduce what we call the hub. which will be a kind of like basically a place where people can upload their strategy controllers as well as the configurations, and we hope to kind of integrate that with Hummingbot so you can kind of like people are incentivized to share what they built, and especially the strategies, so that other people can learn from them. In addition, later on this year, we're going to probably introduce the AI-powered Telegram bot. Basically, this is a repo called Condor, which you can already see in the Hummingbot repo. And this is kind of like more like basically a different front end alongside dashboard that allows you to access the same backend API, which is kind of like powering the kind of the backtesting as well as the deployment of bots. So yeah, so overall, I've talked a lot. I think it's actually easier rather than kind of going through the rest of these slides where I kind of explain the features. It's probably easier to actually just have a demo it rather than me kind of walking you through the slides. So overall, I want to hand it over to Fede. And then actually, one more thing before I go, I do want to mention that for Botcamp, we are kind of like basically teaching courses that allow people to leverage this framework. And so our next cohort, which will be in August 6th, will kind of feature the usage of this framework and kind of like allow people to kind of like really kind of learn both the art and the science of market making using dashboard and a new V2 framework. So we are kind of extending this kind of coupon until this day because we want to kind of like try to serve, kind of grow a larger cohort than what we had in the past. But yeah, this is kind of like something that we want to, kind of, these are kind of other pieces that we're working on to try to basically educate people on how market making works using this new tool. So yeah, just want to highlight that one thing. And then finally, in terms of schedule, this should be out later on today. We're kind of finalizing the release. So both the new website and the quick start guide and all the release stuff should be out basically officially later on today. Okay, so let me hand it over to Fede now, who is going to do the demo.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, well, it seems like Emerald is sharing a few strategies in the chat, so that's good. Okay, well, can you see my screen now? Yeah, great. Yeah, I see this is strategy. Yeah, well, Emerald, when we met in Amsterdam, he had like a crash course of Hummingbot 2.0 that he was able to build a new strategy with the dashboard and everything. So, well, this is the dashboard. I hope that you saw the video previously that we uploaded to YouTube. Obviously, that is still is the official release, but you'll find a few things to improve over time. The idea is to continue like improve it. Basically, the first thing that you need to do, well, this is the repo. You will the main difference between before and now is that this is all works in Docker, and for non-technical users, it's just these two lines and this one, and you have the repo up and running. That is this one. The first thing that you usually do is to go to the credentials page. In this credentials page, you can have, as you can see, the credentials that I have connected. You can create another credential, and this is in case that you are managing money for another client, for example. Then, well, you can add credentials to another account, and so. One important thing here is that some of the connectors are not going to work. Mostly the ones that are for DEXs. So if you are trying to connect with a connector that is not working, please create a ticket here, deploy. As you can see here, there are two issues raised. These two issues are going to be fixed once there is one PR merged. Both of the candles that will be merged soon. Well, this is play around with it. You'll probably, if you find something, just let us know. Then we have this portfolio page that I think that is quite useful for everyone that is running bots or everyone that is managing accounts, because you can have like a big overview of how your account is distributed. You can, if you have more than one account, you can see the two accounts. I saw that was a message before saying that guy connected a credentials in one account and then removed and then added to another account, but the previous one was we were still seeing it. Yeah, that's something that we need to define how to improve it. But the thing is that every time that you connect your account, the balances will be dumped every X amount of time. So you can see exactly which was your distribution of assets. But well, for example, here in OKX, I can see how this is distributed and so. Well, then you have here this table that is very simple, just logs the current units and price and value of each token and with how much you have available too. And this is the evolution over time. There are some problems like this when, for example, we get rid of internet the next time that we are querying. This is running my local computer, so if I turn off the computer starts recording, and that's why we have these type of gaps. But well, these are also things that over time we're going to solve. Well, then this part of config generator is where you can see the main strategies. The good thing is that before was really difficult, like understanding how your strategy can behave or can perform in the market. Now you have here like some visual things. This PM dynamic in the YouTube video, I demoed the PM simple, but there are different ones. PM dynamic, for the ones that are very familiar with Avellaneda Stoico, is like trying to follow the same idea of, okay, I think that the mid price is not this one. I would like to have another reference price. And instead of adjusting that reference price by inventory, you can adjust it by, I don't know, an indicator, by a signal from another platform, by an aggregated value of mid price or whatever. And also you can make the spreads dynamic. That basically the design of this framework of market making, the market making controllers is all the same. It's like you're going to place orders around a reference price with a base unit of a spread that cannot be just a percentage, can be something that can scale up where the volatility is bigger. So in this case, here this is the price multiplier. That is how we are changing, how we are shifting the price based on the market conditions. As you can see here, is moving very up because the MACD, in this case, is using MACD, but the MACD is saying long, so that is why it's moving the bits closer to the mid price. But for the spread multiplier, is using the normalized average to range. So yeah, that is how it works. Then you have the same. Instead, another thing is that instead of here, as you can see, the spread is 1, but here you see that the spread is 0.35. This is because these buy orders and sell orders are going to multiply the normalized average to range. In this case, we put the average, so you can have a picture of, okay, in all this period, how can the distribution can be? Well, you can try, like, I don't know, what happens if I put the normalized average to range in 200, and you can see that probably will be much more flat, the line. And so then if you put a higher value, it will be more smooth, but also it will be more difficult to update like the value. If you put a short value like 7, you will see that it's very noisy. I didn't put I think that let's put that. You will see that it's more noisy, but it updates more fast. Then you have this type of strategy that is a demand maker, that instead of these being just orders, these are DCAs. So that's another level of complexity. But here you have for each DCA how you can distribute the orders. And I recommend to spend a little bit of time on this DCA thing. Don't we call it DCA, this executor, because it's like dollar cost average of each position, but it's not like the usual dollar cost average strategy that you know. It's like a position that instead of entering in just one price, you enter in a few open orders and you take the break-even price, that is this one, as a price to compute the take profit, the stop loss, and so. So this visualization is really cool. You can see how much money you can lose for each of the combinations. Here you can see the first order, the second order, you can lose $8 if you go out by stop loss and so. And each of these things are backtestable. So you can go here and run the backtesting and see how the backtesting performs. Now let's see with this visualization, the backtesting visualization, how it looks like when we place the orders and so. As you can see, there are like three main lines, and thanks to Emerald that he added the trading stop that will be pushed soon into the code base into Hummingbot, and then we need to build the library again. We will be able to backtest with trading stop, because right now this one that is trading stop is not working. It's only working like the stop loss and the take profit. But let's analyze a little bit the three types of lines that we have. We have red lines that are orders that or DCAs that end up in a loss. As you can see here, this value that is not touching any line is not like the real entry price. But to make a simplification and to make it easier to compare this with the position executor that is just one open order with one close order, this is like this time is a time where we placed the orders. And this value, that is the initial value, is the average price after buying with the DCA. So probably the last order of the DCA were somewhere here, for example, and then this is the last loss that we have. We can compare with this, like at 2%, we have the last order. These are three orders at 0%, 1%, and 2%. And the last one that is at 3.1% is here, and that is why we can get the loss here. But what it's trying to do, this strategy, is like, while I'm buying or selling, because it works for long and short, I will be pushing my break-even price closer. So this means that the first order, I execute the first order. If the price goes up 1% more, I will execute the second order. And my break-even price is 0.3% below the second price. So this means that I can go up from the first order 1%. I only need to go back 1.29% to take profit, and my break-even price is closer than here. So usually what you want to do here is to weight the price. So just a note, here the default is wrong. The default here should be a greater value. So the last order has a bigger also like break-even price. Well, I need to change this default from here. Well, I was talking about I will run it again. I was talking about the different type of lines that we have. Another thing is that this visualization of the backtesting, as always mentioned, this is not, you don't need to take it as a ground truth. This is more like a way that you can visualize how your strategy will behave. Then we are also adding the analysis of the strategy performance after you run the live bot. And we are going to have the same graph to analyze the live bot. And you will be able to run the backtesting for the same period of time and compare how accurate a backtesting of the same period is regarding to the live bot. Well, so we mentioned that we have the red lines that are positions that end up in a loss. We have the green lines that end up in profit. And we have these grays with dashes that you will say, okay, what are these things? As you know, in market making, we place orders around the mid price. So if the line that we are seeing here is gray, means that was an order that we placed and was never filled. So we refresh it. That's why we have these gray lines. To refresh orders, we have two things. It's like the executor refresh time every 1 hour, and also the time limit that is 360 works as will also refresh the order. Well, and then here we have the P&L, that's basically all on some metrics about the performance, the close types, and so. Well, also we have directional strategies. The key of the directional strategies here because once you call your controller, now I'm going to show in the code how that looks like. But once you call your controller, you would like to create a page to see how you can configure it. And if it's a directional strategy or a strategy like the PM dynamic that shifts the mid price based on something, you would like to see a little bit your signals. These signals doesn't mean that we are going to sell and buy here. That is not what they are, because the strategy has another source of control to execute the trades. But let's just see, okay, based on this configuration, how my signals look like. So let's say that, as to make it more clear, here we have 100 Bollinger Bands and 2 standard deviations. And the long threshold is 0 and the short threshold is 1. This means that if the price goes below the band, as here, the signal will say long, 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 long. And if the price goes above the band, we'll say short, like here. See? But this is because we put these thresholds. But what if we want to be like more conservative, let's say? We can put the long threshold in minus 0.2. Probably we are not going to have any longs, a few, and the long threshold is 1.2. So this means that we are going to go 20% above the band and 0.2% below the band. I think that is 0.10 because it's like 0 and 1, so it's divided by 2, so well. But basically what you can do with this part, or how this part works, is to analyze, okay, if I put these values, when the signals are going to be turned on and turned off. So well, this helps you. This is like this is not the backtesting yet. This is like the visualization of the indicators and the signals without the backtesting and without the trading logic. If we want to run with the trading logic, we need to understand a few more parameters for directional. The directional strategy has the number of max executors per side. This means that if I receive a long, another long, another long, another long, I can only have 5 longs at the same time. And the cooldown time means that, okay, if I receive a long signal, I will not accept another long signal until 60 seconds from the initial signal. So these two things are ways that you can use to control the risk and to control like how you are executing those signals. So let's put something like this. Yeah. One important thing for now is that this trade cost, that is, you can estimate this or put this like how much will cost your trading activity based on the fees, is not currently working. It was reported by one of the members. This means that I don't know if I change here to this value. I think that in my computer, this I'm using the right version. It's not working, but I already merged a PR on Hummingbot that has this fix and includes a trade cost. So probably by the end of this week, when we merge the candles PR and the PR of Emerald that has the trading stop, this is going to work again. And well, then we have a few more controllers. This combines MACD and Bollinger. Well, you can experiment with them and see if you like them. This one that is a cross exchange is also very good. There is one guy, Alex Boiler, that is testing it very, very well. So thanks for the testing. Well, there are also pages to download candles and so. Let's say that we would like to deploy one bot. Let's pick a random bot. This one. Let's pick, I don't know, this one. And random bot 1. We can just we can run more than one bot. Let's run like this bot, 2 bots. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to have enough funds for this because I think that I only have $40. But well, once you press there and deploy the bot, you can also like, as I didn't show, but you can select the image of Docker, select the account, and so. Once you deploy that, you will see that here in instances, let me see if terminal. Okay, there is one big problem. Yeah, there is one big problem. I don't have budget here, but the other problem is that I don't have the broker running because I'm running from source. I was planning to run from source to show you the code base. So let me run here the broker, because if not, we are not going to be able to use it. Docker post up mqx -d. Okay, now we have the broker running. I was running this from source because then I would like to show you the file system, but well, let me run it again. This is another bot that I'm testing. Dashboard is. Okay, let me rerun. At first, always the backend API will take a little bit to start because it has to decrypt all the credentials, and that process takes a little bit. But well, bot 1. Let's call it this. Deploy this one. It says that we don't have budget for the position. So let's modify this. I will show you how to modify. For example, we have this config and we would like to modify it. Let me see if I have USDC here. Yeah, I have this amount of USDC. So if I want to modify and reduce this value, I can go here to PMM simple. Don't use the default config. Which one was future? No, compute asteroid. So we go here, compute asteroid. See that loads everything from here, and we can reduce the amount quote to 500, and we can save it as 0.2, or we can override the initial one. So here is overrided. And do I have a USDC or USDT? Let me see. I have a few. So this one is WorldCoin. Coin broker is called this one. I deploy one from KuCoin, that's why. PMM simple, this one. Future Robin. Let's change Future Robin to use 500, and now let's still call it 0.1. So we can go back here. So I'll see how easy it is right now to iterate and change things on the fly. So Future Robin 0.1, now you see that has 500, and we have Compute Asteroid also have 500. Let's call bot 2, and now let's launch the bot. So at first will appear stopped until the bot starts reporting things. Also, sometimes will fail and you will not know why, but you can always go to a terminal and run docker ps, and then you see that here has this container, and you can click here and docker attach flag, and well, you will see the old terminal up and running. Well, in the exchange, we can also see that we are going to be trading on Pepe, and this is Pepe. Well, now we have a position here in WorldCoin. So as you can see, we are trading here in this one. It's very wide, so we are not going to trade and so on. But the other great thing that this release has is that before, let's say that you would like to, well, the best thing is that we can deploy 2 bots with the same instance, and we can control and see the stats in real time, right? But there is another benefit, is that now each of these is like a sub strategy. So let's say that we don't like the config of this Pepe because it's very wide and we don't like it. We can go here and press stop. And this will not immediately, because it has like 20 seconds sometimes to reread the config and see that it's stopped. But as you can see, we are stopped trading here. And this applies if the controller is working bad or is losing a lot of money. It's like now you have a kill switch, a manual kill switch that you can just apply from here. That's really beneficial for me. Then you have error logs here separated to see if your instances are doing well or not. And you have the general logs of that. And you can always turn on the controller again and say, okay, let's resume the trading on Pepe. Where is here? No, Binance here. And this will resume the trading on Pepe again, right? So it's much more dynamic than before for the old Hummingbot users. So that's basically all what I have for to demo today. I don't know if there is another thing that is regarding to the file system. That is how this all of this is structured. So in this deploy repo, that is the one that you are going to use, you have this bots folder. For now, we didn't add the functionality to modify a bot that is running, but if you want to do it from the file system, you can go here to the conf folder, to the controllers folder, and modify the YAML that you want, and that will take effect on the live bot that is running. So you can modify bots on the fly. Let's say that you would like to add your own controller. The first thing will be calling your controller, as I am doing here for this script, this controller that I'm running. This is a controller base. Basically, what you do first is to define what type of controller you would like to do. Then once you like, for example, you want to create a market making controller, you can copy and paste this one from the PMM dynamic, copy and paste, you can start working, you debug with Hummingbot. So all the development process has to be inside Hummingbot at first. Then when you are comfortable with your controller, you can move it to the deploy that has here this folder that is controllers. And you can paste it here, right? And then you will say, okay, now I have the controller, but I need to create that page in the dashboard to start using it. That's a little bit tricky today because you need to run the dashboard from source. Soon, I think that I will try to add a volume that mounts this folder. That is a front end pages config. These folders are the ones that has the logic to make the configuration. So if we see the one for PMM simple, it's like only like 47 lines of code because we are not doing too much. And you can reuse a lot of the components. For example, the backtesting section, the backtesting metrics, the accuracy metrics, the default config loader. You have a lot of things that you can reuse from here. So I would recommend you to check another page to use as an inspiration, and then you can just add your own page to start using it. And then you will need to add it to the main that is here, that has like the pages that you are using basically. Well, and in the backend API, if you are interested on using it, the best thing of this is that this front end, as you can see, well, as you know, I'm not so good at front end, so this is the best thing that I could do. But usually, I don't know, if there is some people that is good at React or some framework that you want to like isolate or build this in-house, the best thing is that we separated all the logic from the backend, and you can see the routes here at localhost 8000 docs. Here you can see all the endpoints that we are using that you can reuse in your application. And for example, there was one guy from the community that was at USA Mike, I think that was asking, how can I start and stop based on market conditions dynamically? Well, for that you can have scripts that can be outside of Hummingbot. Well, soon I'm going to add a module for screeners. So the screeners will let you do this fancy thing. But what you're going to do is to use the backend API to add a controller config, to stop a controller, to stop a bot, to start a new bot. So this is more like an orchestration layer that you have on top of all the Hummingbot framework that we have. And another important thing is that this is more like a design decision. I built like a fake Kubernetes Docker manager that spawns bots and stop bots, mainly because the most of the community, when it gets started, cannot afford a Kubernetes cluster to run all your bots. But when you are getting bigger and bigger, this will be a little bit limited. I'm saying when you are running, I don't know, 50 bots or something, or 15 bots, you will need to have a few servers probably. And managing all that will be probably easier if you're using a Kubernetes cluster. So soon we are going to add to this backend API also the functionality to connect to a Kubernetes cluster and start deploying with Kubernetes all your bots. But for now, we are keeping it simple, usable, and more like oriented to the average Hummingbot user that's getting started, and you're probably running, I don't know, 5 bots with 3 controllers each and so. So that's all from the presentation. I don't know if you guys have any questions. You are getting a better at front end. I don't know, Emerald. I don't know if anyone has a question regarding to this. Okay, Leo, that is a good question. How to use a custom Hummingbot image? You can go here when you are deploying, and in available images, if the image is available in your machine, it has the name Hummingbot at some point will appear. So here's where you can use a custom Hummingbot image. Remember that the current setup that we have right now is all oriented to V2 framework because we have the ability to start, stop controllers and everything. But if you are good at backend and everything, you can easily understand how this is built and customize also the backend API to run any type of strategy. But well, this is like the official strategy right now that we are supporting.
Addressing the question I'll take the bugged one. So I would say I think we're trying to centralize all the issues related to Hummingbot 2.0 in the deploy repo. Because this repo is now kind of like, now we have like dashboard, backend API, the Hummingbot client. So overall, I would say, yeah, if you any issue you have with like backtesting, like kind of like whether it's UI issues or bugs, please report them in the deploy GitHub repo, and we'll try to kind of address those issues along the way. We know that there's a lot of like new UI kind of like things we're introducing here, but it's aimed at making things easier for the end user. So I think I do foresee for the next like 1 or 2 releases, we'll be playing, we'll be improving the UI iteratively.
And that issue from the Scalar is regarding to the one of the PRs that will be merged this week. That is from the Campbell's feed. There is a PR up and running already, but yeah, that will be fixed soon. Then there is another one that says, is there a way to backtest a batch of grid parameters of variations? That will be actually added back soon. I remove it, will not available in the dashboard for now until we have more like a standard version of it. But the idea is that it's going to be available in notebooks inside the dashboard repo. Here, if you check this thing, you will see that the optimization notebook is using Optuna, and you can try a bunch of values for take profit, stop loss, time limit, and so, and you can log any metric that you want. And we are going to up this back, but yeah, I need to do it. Probably I will do it next week. So yes, that's one important thing. Then yeah,
V1 strategies. So basically, for Hummingbot 2.0, we've decided to really concentrate on supporting the V2 framework. So basically, the idea of controllers, I think configurations for those controllers, and where controllers are really like the core strategy object. So and this is also because backtesting is kind of like is part and parcel of the framework. The reason you're able to do backtesting in a fast vectorized way is because it's integrated into the way that the V2 framework works. So because of that, the dashboard and everything else does not support V1 strategies. You can still run V1 strategies and basic scripts using the core Hummingbot client. So using the command line app, you can still run V1 strategies, scripts, everything you want. So, and we kind of view that as a good starting point. If you actually want to learn like how a basic code of a strategy works, I think running a script from the old client is still the way to go. However, if you're actually market making for real, if you're actually running multiple strategies, doing a lot of experimentation on the actual strategies or developing strategies, we would encourage you to start with the as a user or as a kind of like a quant fund developer, start with the V2 framework and dashboard and Hummingbot 2.0 basically. So I hope that kind of makes sense. But overall, I think what I do see is that I think we'll probably have more simple versions of the controllers of the future that serve as like more of a bridge between the older simple V1 strategies and scripts to the new V2 framework. But I think for now we've kind of concentrated on a more kind of like fully fleshed out strategy examples, kind of showcase what this new kind of like V2 framework and the new dashboard are capable of.
Yeah. There is another question from Theory. That is the latency. It's going to be the same as C1. There is no changes on latency. There is one good article from Victoria that explains depending on different servers, how the latency changes. But well, for example, here I'm running a strategy that is trading on Ethereum. It's like the latency doesn't matter at all for this because this distance from here to here, this 0.2% is like the distance that I need to get 0.4% of profit after counting the fees. So it's like, depending on the game that you are playing, the latency is something that you need to worry or not. Then there is another one that says, can I manage several bots running on different servers using a single dashboard? That's something really interesting, Composer, because my idea is that after we stabilize this, I will try to, first of all, we are going to add probably soon the Kubernetes, well, not soon, but the next month, the Kubernetes solution that will be probably done by one of the previous Botcamp students called Patrick. That will be able to run multiple bots without the problem of scaling. Then the second solution that I will provide, just to compare and see which one is more cost effective, is to have the backend API in each server, like in the independent servers, and using the dashboard to connect to all those backend API servers with authentication. So that will be like the other approach that is going to be a little bit different from Kubernetes, but still will let you manage different bots. And I think that that is something important because usually you have IP address limits. Well, the current solution right now is to deploy everything in each server and access to a different dashboards. But probably you would like to have the dashboard locally, running locally, and then running on different, connecting to different backend APIs. I try to do some other changes. Well, if you want that, send on the group or create an issue with the strategy that you're trying to run. See, it's important to know that the exchange has to be allowed in your country, because if you're trying to backtest with, I don't know, Binance in the US, it's not going to work. For custom connectors, is there anything we need to update? If it's a subclass of exchange pipe base, no need to worry about it. And if you want to use candles, you will need to create the candle feed. So those are the two things. Okay, the documentation will be updated for the new installation instructions for V2 and Mike today, right?
Yeah, so basically we're just waiting on the release to finish, so that the links to the Docker images and the GitHub tags work, and we expect that to be finalized, and then the release notes and the new installation instructions will be published later on today.
Okay. Leo says that probably Docker Swarm is easier. I didn't try it, but I will see. But yeah, okay.
Right now we're only supporting order book exchanges, more like strategies that work on order book exchanges. However, there are plans to kind of create similar types of like controllers and executors and config pages that are aimed at more like DEX type strategies. So we'll probably start with just like the AMM arbitrage kind of like strategy. We already have an arbitrage executor that's out there. We'll probably create like an arbitrage, like a strategy that utilizes gateway and kind of allows a user to basically kind of like customize and configure like a DEX arbitrage strategy. So that's probably right now we kind of concentrate on just getting the dashboard and backend API and this whole kind of like new deployment experience up and running. But we do foresee, I think, in the next probably within the next probably two or three releases, or 2 or 3 months, we'll have incorporating more of the DEX side of Hummingbot.
Yeah. And also, well, if you want to, also we Mike were running the Botcamp, and if you are interested on some type of content or courses that you think that might be interesting to build regarding this, will be good to have feedback of what you would like to understand. So yeah, I hope that soon when I get this year I was really busy with this development, and I have something pending that a lot of you were asking about, adding machine learning to the strategies, but hopefully I will be able to deliver a few controllers that you can just plug machine learning models without needing to learn how to code a trading bot, more just to code a signal. So it will be more like plug and play, as the same as you are doing, for example, right now with Bollinger, but with your custom model. So yeah, I hope that I can deliver that is missing.
Actually, I want to just give everyone a preview of like what we're working on for the rest of the year. So we're still going to try to stick to what we outlined in the roadmap that Fede published, I think, the very beginning of the year. So I think we've actually accomplished a lot of the items on that list. But I think what's remaining is a launch of the Telegram bot, along with the kind of the community hub where users can upload their strategies. So I think we'll try to work on those first, but obviously we're super excited about AI. That's why there's already a repo out there where we have published early experiments. But I think and to the extent that we can incorporate AI, both in terms of like allowing machine learning models to plug in Hummingbot, but also using AI to like allow user like use AI to control bots, or use AI to create your own scripts or whatever. We want to try to explore those areas. So that's why there's actually an AI channel on our Discord. There are our original co-founders, Martin Ko, has been playing around with some stuff as well. So I encourage you to check it out if you haven't already. Yeah, one question I think the Escape asked, does the existing Telegram bot commands still work? Yes, they do. Yeah, so that still works. So it's important to understand that nothing has actually changed with the original client. The core Hummingbot that you guys all know and love still works. We kind of see 2.0 as like a superset. Now you can use a GUI to backtest and deploy multiple bots instead of just having to kind of like do it manually, which people were doing before. So I think but I think with the new configuration pages especially, I think it kind of gives everyone an opportunity to kind of like really design their own strategy and make that strategy available to everyone, because it's almost like, I think as you kind of saw the D-man maker strategy that Fede worked on himself, it's like almost like there's almost like a thesis there that you're implementing as a strategy designer, and being able to visualize how that works and be able to configure it, I think is really powerful, because it allows you to understand how it works, but also how to allow everyone else who's using it to also understand how it works as well. So we encourage you to kind of like create your own controllers, your own custom configuration pages, and then I think with a community hub, hopefully will allow people to then kind of like share those with the community.
Yeah. Based on the things that the guys are saying there, I think that the AI agents, I think that this is perfect for this type of framework where you have like an ability to backtest, to iterate fast, and if you have an agent, as Wojak is saying there, iterating on backtestings, trying things, deploying bots, stopping bots, and so is like the part of the work that you don't want to do. A lot of practice with bullshitting VCs. Yeah, Fengtality is the king. When I go to a conference with Fengtality, the people goes and say, "Hey Mike, how is it going? It's a long time." Yeah. Well, that's all for me. It was a good call. Yeah, Emerald. Yeah.